So to start the week with wisdom, I'm your host, Bridget Burns with the University of Educational News.
And I'm your co-host, Sara Custer, Editor-in-Chief at Inside Higher Ed.
Today, we're here live at the ASU+GSV Summit, which is a conference that brings together ed tech and higher education and venture and philanthropy and K-12, all kinds of folks. And so what we're going to be bringing you is a conversation with a leader in the field who is kind of bridging all those spaces and is kind of a fresh take on higher education. And we're going to, in real time, be reacting to what we're hearing and seeing at this conference, but also talking about some of these bigger elements around AI, like how things are shifted in the field. So first, the person I want to introduce is Tade Oyerinde.
Got it.
Nailed it? Okay.
Nailed it.
Who is the Chancellor of Campus, which he will explain in a bit. And when you think Chancellor, think more Star Wars Chancellor, because I think that's how he originally chose the
Star Force Chancellor.
Star Wars.
Yes, nice.
A solution that I think is really interesting, but here's how we originally met, is that I saw a viral clip of you explaining your model, but you did it first by explaining CUNY ASAP. And it was the first time, and I've been in this field for 25 years, and people talk about CUNY ASAP all the time. And most people don't actually understand what it is,
Sure.
myself included. And the way you explained it was so clear and simple. And then it was a great segue into what helped me understand your model. So I was hoping, as the gift you could give to our audience,
Sure.
how you have framed and seen CUNY ASAP and the connection to what it is that you have.
Sure. So yeah, look, I think it's great to be here. In high level, community colleges struggle with helping students graduate. But there's a bright spot, which is CUNY ASAP. They figured out how to get the graduation rate from a national average around 28% to 51% by providing students with 5 wraparound supports. So first is keeping tuition price below Pell, so students don't have to take on loans. Second is making tuition fully inclusive. No extra fees, no textbooks, everything's included. Third is they provided every student with a Metro card, so students could get to campus in New York without having any expenses. 4, they required students to be enrolled full-time, which is extremely important. The data is unambiguous. If students are enrolled part-time, they're far less likely to complete. And then 5, they paired every student with a success coach, who's basically like my Nigerian mom, who will kick your ass when you start slacking and be a shoulder to cry on when you need it. And it's a great model that actually massively reduces, even with those investments, the cost per graduate of graduating a community college student. And yet it hasn't really scaled nationally because it does require a lot of upfront capital. And so what I wanted to do, I was just here, probably when I met you, just a typical ed tech founder, thought I could sort of naively, massively transform higher education by building software. But then I realized that ASAP actually was having a huge impact, but it wasn't scaled out. Why wasn't it scaled out? And sort of answering those questions led me to start Campus, where we're basically trying to take the model inspired by ASAP and scale it up to all students all over the country. We actually acquired a 2-year college in Sacramento, and we basically provide all students with the same supports, except instead of a Metro card, we give them a free laptop, tutoring, and some other supports that help the students actually succeed. And then our ratio of coaches to students is a little bit lower. It's about 50 to 1. And these students really need that extra support. And so the campus basically think live online classes taught by a distributed network of faculty from top 100 universities across the country, Stanford, UCLA, NYU. They're all charismatic. They kind of have your personality archetype is what we go for. They're very engaging over video, and students complete 2 years with us, and then they transfer into a 4-year school to complete their bachelor's with no debt, and that's key.
Yeah. So, I want folks to really digest that model, but you've also had great success. So I want to give you a chance to actually help people understand how to signal from noise, that this actually works. But in particular, what struck me is you're really not talking about just any non-traditional student or any student out there. You're really focused on 18.
Yep.
And this idea that it's live online, many, listen, I teach online, flipped classroom. It's there for different students. That's right. But you understand your student, and you specifically talk about Forever 21 employees, right?
Yeah.
Can you help people understand what your approach is and why it's so informed by seeing now students really what resonates and what actually helps them at 18 years old?
100%. Look, we've already had like massive accessibility of education online for a long time. Coursera, I remember like when, we'd come here like 10 years ago, it's like MOOCs are going to change everything. I think it was like the year of the MOOC was like 2013. I was here. And yet the impact never arrived. A big part of why is because young people, that 18 to 24-year-old, they need more motivation. They need more accountability. They need those extrinsic motivators. For me, like I remember being in college, I needed to sit across from that guy who thought he was smarter than me. I'm going to compete. I'm going to show you, right? Or I need to sit across from that girl I think is cute. I'm going to try and ask a smart sounding question and impress her. Like all of those motivating factors were what drove me to stay engaged in school. And I wanted to make sure that online learning could actually embrace those. And the only way to do that is through live. When kids or students are in front of their computers at the same time, the professors there, the TAs there, and they're actually having an interactive learning experience. That's what's worked really well.
How many students?
Today, we're about 4,000 students.
And so I think the thing that when this conversation can be heard by traditional higher ed, you represent a potential pipeline, the bigger you get. And so I'm curious about how you connect your students from your online to actually getting them to enroll at a four-year institution, and how you're tackling how you vet partners for who is actually going to treat them the way that, you've gotten them this far,
Yep.
but you don't want to, drop your kids off at just a random place, right? I'm just curious about how you're thinking about other institutions and how you can actually get these students to go 4-year degree.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's novel about campus is, a lot of the tech bro, someone called me a tech bro recently, which I found really offensive, but I think a lot of the tech people sort of kind of ignored all the value in traditional higher education. And it's like, let's just build an app or let's just completely ignore higher ed. My whole model was, mental model was the opposite. It's like, actually, no one really wants to hire a graduate from some random thing that no one's ever heard of. You think about institutions like ASU or University of Central Florida or Morehouse College in Atlanta. These institutions are very old, very respected brands. They have very robust alumni networks, and I wanted students to be able to tap into those. And so the whole model is community college and two-year college is a great trampoline into the right four-year experience, as long as students can complete it with no debt. When the graduation rates are, in my view, unless the graduation rates are above 95%, you should not have students take on loans, full stop, period. I know that's controversial, but that's my view, that's our view. And so the idea was, let's have a no debt, high support model for the first 2 years, and then partner with, and those are all of our partners, Morehouse, UCF, ASU, and about 40 others, to help students transfer in there with junior standing and guaranteed admissions. So actually, if you come to campus and get a 3.0 GPA, you're guaranteed admission into those 3 universities and others.
And is that your goal for your students, is to go on to complete that 4-year degree and get that diploma?
I think the goal is maximum flexibility. Like if you'd asked me this 2 years ago, I would have said 100% yes. Now, with the way AI is transforming, completely the skills that students need to be successful, anyone who tells you like, oh, this is exactly what the skills students need to have 5 years from now is lying to you, or they're high. Like I have no clue. What I know is that students should have maximum flexibility. I remember when I was a kid, I got a PlayStation 2 and I sort of invested all of my money and my savings into buying all these games. And then a few years later, the PlayStation 3 came out and it was not backwards compatible. I couldn't use all these games on the new thing. And that's like the opposite of what we want to do with higher ed. I think we need maximum flexibility, stackable credentials. We know, students are going to come, get a certificate, then they're going to go work a bit. Then the job landscape's going to change. And they're going to go back, get more sort of education. And then they're going to go back, work again. Then they're going to it needs to be sort of super dynamic, super compatible for students to go in and out. Maximum flexibility is the only way to survive.
And are you thinking about that? I mean, I know that we focus on you focusing really intently on 18-year-olds, but are you thinking about that older learner or that more flexible learner that could come in and out?
So our students are 17 to 27. Average age is 22. So it's like we have sort of 3 major personas. There's like Chipotle Chelsea. She's 21 years old. She's working at Chipotle. She's like, man, I don't want to sort of roll burritos every day for the rest of my life. Like, what did God or the universe, as Gen Z likes to say, put me on this planet to go do? We're like, hey, we're going to help you figure that out and then get you the skills, knowledge, and network to go do it. And then you have like rejected Roger. It's like, man, I really wanted to go to UT Austin. I didn't get in. It's like, should I give up on my dream of being a Longhorn, or should I go to a 2-year college knock out the first years and then transfer, do really well. And we serve those students a lot. And then it's like sort of skeptical Sam or Sam the skeptic. He's like, man, what is the point of college? Why am I like writing papers when ChatGPT is just doing this for me? How can I get a hands-on education that's super, super practical and relevant? And how can I learn the AI skills so I can stay competitive? And they love campus because we're teaching, all the things that are like super dynamic and are going to be relevant at least for the next couple of years, hopefully beyond that.
So one, I think this is a breath of fresh. I'm sure people are kind of like, this is like in their brain, like lots of things are percolating just because of the model what you're doing and the approach and the mindset being grounded and so focused on, especially that 17 plus. However, are you a for-profit or nonprofit? And more importantly, one of your main investors that I keep seeing videos of is Shaq. How did you meet Shaq? I just want to let's do our celebrity shout out. How did this happen?
Yeah.
Help me understand.
So yeah, well, we were a tech startup. We were just building Campus Wire, which is like Canvas that you don't hate as much. And that was what we were doing until the pandemic. And then I got excited about this idea of scaling the ASAP-like model. And so we bought a college, and the only college we could buy as a for-profit startup was one of the 5 for-profit 2-year colleges in the country. So it's basically a trade school that's been around since 1966 in Sacramento. So that's what we bought. So we are technically a for-profit, although I don't, I completely agree with the skepticism. Most of the for-profit actors have been sort of silly, bad actors. Our whole model is different. Like, let's innovate. Let's be more like a tech startup than a for-profit college. And then in terms of like the investors, like Sam Altman, I was sort of lucky to meet him before he launched ChatGPT, was our first major investor, and then sort of the Bloomberg folks and others. And then Shaq read an article. The article was like, Sam Altman invested in this community college. Shaq reached out. His team reached out. Actually, I thought it was a scam. And somehow I got convinced to go on the Zoom. And then Shaq shows up and he's just like, man, I heard about this. And I found out it was a brother. I just really wanted to meet you. And I love what you're doing. I love to invest. And so that was the Shaq story.
That's great.
That's
great.
my Shaq impression.
Thank you so much. This has been really refreshing. Chancellor Tade, thank you so much for sharing us about campus. I forgive you for not bringing me some Shakalicious.
I forgot.
It was a requirement to let you be on the show. We'll let that happen next time from the ASU+GSV Summit, and look forward to the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.